Grace, you shouldn't be writing anymore. They're watching. The hooded stranger's voice still echoed in my ears, low and steady, almost too calm for the terror it carried. My diary lay open on the table, its pages scattered like dead leaves, vulnerable, violated. My heart pounded so loud I could barely hear my own breathing. And then that smile. Him, the man in the rain, standing in the corner as if he had been there all along. His eyes glimmered with something I couldn't name: triumph, possession, madness. He leaned closer, his voice a whisper I felt more than heard. You belong to me now. Darkness swallowed everything after that. When I woke, I was in my room. My diary was back on the nightstand, neatly closed as though no one had touched it. My phone lay beside it, screen black, though I remembered it being gone. I sat up, clutching the sheets around me, every sound in the house magnified. The groan of wood, the distant hum of the refrigerator, the drip 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 of a tap in the bathroom. Had it been a dream? No. I touched my wrist, faint bruises, as though someone had grabbed me too tightly. I opened the diary with shaking fingers. The pages I had written were there, my prayers, my confessions, my secrets. But on the last page, scrawled in jagged handwriting that was not mine, were four words: do not trust him. My stomach twisted. I slammed the diary shut. Who was I not to trust? The hooded man? Or the man in the rain? Or both? I wanted to scream, to run, to burn the diary. But instead, I clutched it tighter, as if destroying it would destroy the only piece of sanity I had left. The next day at church, the walls felt different. The hymns sounded hollow, the prayers heavy. I watched faces more closely than ever. Who was watching me? Who knew? Pastor James spoke about light overcoming darkness, but all I could see were shadows. When service ended, I lingered in my pew, staring at the cross, silently begging God to show me what was real. Grace. I turned. It was Sister Ruth, her face lined with concern. Are you all right? You look pale. I forced a smile. I'm fine. Just tired. But I wasn't fine, and I wasn't tired. I was unraveling. On my way out, I felt eyes on me. Across the courtyard, half hidden by the columns, stood the man in the rain. No longer wet, no longer shivering, just watching. When I blinked, he was gone. That night, I tried to write again. My hand trembled as I pressed the pen to the page. Dear diary, I don't know who to trust. I don't know what's happening to me. If anyone ever reads this, know that I tried. I tried to stay in the light. I tried to resist. But the shadows are closing in. The pen slipped from my fingers. The air grew cold. A presence filled the room, thick and suffocating. I turned slowly toward the window. He was there, the man in the rain, not outside, inside. Standing by the window, dripping water onto the floor. Grace, he said softly, you're making this harder than it has to be. My throat closed. What do you want from me? He smiled. Only what's already mine. Before I could reply, the lights flickered once, twice, and then darkness. When they came back on, he was gone. But the diary was open again. And this time, the words weren't warnings. They were commands. Meet me where it began. I didn't write it. I knew I didn't. But the ink was fresh. My hands shook as I traced the words. Where did it begin? Church, my home, the night in the rain. I slammed the diary shut. I wanted to throw it away, burn it, bury it, but a part of me needed to know. That's when I heard it, the knock. 3 sharp raps at the door. I froze, my breath caught in my chest. Another knock. Louder this time. I crept toward the door, my fingers brushing the cold handle. My heart screamed at me not to open it. But something stronger, curiosity, fear, fate pulled me forward. I opened it. The hooded man stood there, no smile, no menace, just urgency in his eyes. "You read it, didn't you?" he whispered. My blood ran cold. "How do you know?" "Because," he said, lifting his hand to reveal a torn page from my diary. "They're not your words." That night marked the beginning of my unraveling. My walls, my faith, my very mind, they were under siege. And the more I tried to escape, the tighter the noose of this shadowed truth closed around me. I couldn't breathe. Two men, both real, both impossible. The stranger in the hoodie stood rigid, his shadow spilling across my living room like a warning. His voice was low, heavy with urgency. Hooded stranger, calm, chilling. "Stop writing. Grace, stop before it's too late. They're already watching you." My diary lay wide open, its pages trembling as though even the ink carried fear. And then from the corner, him, the man from the rain, the man who whispered, "You belong to me now." He didn't lunge. He didn't threaten. He only smiled, his eyes fixed on mine like shackles. Man in rain, soft, taunting. "She already knows she can't run." The two men, they knew each other. Or worse, they were connected. My heart hammered, my chest heaving. My throat burned with the scream I couldn't release. The rain outside grew louder, like it was waiting for my answer. The hooded stranger turned to him, then back to me. "Hooded stranger, you shouldn't have opened the door that night," I whispered, trembling. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" They both vanished, not in smoke, not in magic. Just gone like shadows slipping back into the night. I collapsed onto the floor, gasping, my palms shaking against the cold tiles. I grabbed my diary, but half the pages were missing, torn, stolen. And on the last page left behind, in handwriting that wasn't mine, were four words. "Wait for the third." The third what? The third knock? The third night? The third warning? I didn't know, but I felt it. It was coming. 2 days later, I was at the church vigil. I prayed harder than I'd ever prayed, fasting until my body trembled. But prayer didn't erase the shadows, because when I returned home, the door was already unlocked. I froze. Inside, the lights flickered. And then knock, knock, knock. 3 knocks. Steady. Slow. Like a countdown. I spun toward the door, my heart clenching. When I opened it, no one was there, only the wind, carrying a folded letter on the floor. I picked it up with trembling hands. It read, "Grace, truth bleeds, be ready." And underneath, drawn in black ink, and I, watching me. The following week, he returned, the man from the rain. Not at my door this time, but in my church. Yes, he stood at the back pew during Sunday service, soaked in shadows, though the sun blazed outside. Nobody else seemed to notice him, but I saw him, and I knew this was no ordinary man. After service, I followed him outside, Grace whispering, desperate, "Why me? Why are you haunting me?" He turned slowly, his eyes soft, almost sad. "Man in rain, because your words have power, and they are not just yours." I froze. "My words," he nodded, stepping closer, his voice a whisper only I could hear. "You think you're writing a diary, but you're recording a prophecy." That night, I tore through every diary I'd ever kept. Childhood, teenage years, now adulthood. And it was there, hidden between my own scribbles. Sentences I had never written. Names, dates, deaths, events that later came true. My diary wasn't just mine. And suddenly, I remembered the hooded stranger's words. They're watching. Who were they? And why me? 3 nights later, the knock came again. But not at my door, at my window. Tappy, tappy, tap. I pulled back the curtain, my body cold. And there he was, the hooded stranger, his face finally revealed, a scar across his cheek, eyes tired, haunted. He whispered urgently, Grace, listen to me. He's not protecting you. He's binding you. And if you keep writing, you'll become the prophecy. Before I could speak, a hand rested on my shoulder. I turned. The man from the rain stood inside my room. She already belongs to me. The hooded stranger shouted from the window. Run before the third blood moon. Grace, run before it's too late. The room shook, the lights flickered. Both men's voices collided in my head like thunder, and I screamed. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in my room anymore. I was in the woods, cold or alone. My diary was in my lap, open to a fresh page, and on it, in red ink that wasn't mine, the words appeared slowly before my eyes. Part 3 ends here, but your nightmare doesn't. The wind howled. The shadows grew thicker, and then the third knock echoed through the trees. To be continued.